With more than 6,000 small and micro-cap companies listed, if you're looking for the next Apple at the earliest stage, then Channelchek truly is the orchard. The listed companies support Channelchek, so it's free for you, the potential investor, to gain access to institutional quality research from FINRA licensed analysts, advanced market data, industry reports, news, and a growing catalog of videos and webcasts. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for Channelchek so you're always up to date on what's going on at the small and microcap data place. Welcome to the C-Suite series presented by Channelchek and Noble Capital Markets. Noble is an SEC-registered FINRA-licensed broker-dealer and the source of the equity research available on Channelchek. Today's interview features Indonesia Energy Corporation, NYSE ticker symbol INDO. Noble Senior Research Analyst Michael Heim interviews Indonesia Energy President Frank Ingriselli. Visit channelchek.com or click the link in the description for Noble's research on Indonesia Energy, as well as news and advanced market data. And now, here's Michael and Frank.
Thank you for everyone for joining us. Today we have Frank Ingriselli of Indonesia Energy. It's a stock we've been following for about a year and a half and recommending and done quite well. Frank, last time I talked to you, you were in Napa visiting wineries. I'll start out with the first question. You got any good new wines for us?
I know. Hopefully, I'm in the liquids business, so either it's wine and grapes or it's oil and gas. But I'm far from Napa right now because you caught me at this interview. I'm in New York City. We have an apartment in New York. So the background is our New York City apartment versus our California near Napa Valley area. So, but hopefully we'll get some new liquids coming out of the ground with our new well.
Well, let's jump right into that. Give us an update of what's been going on since the last time we talked. I know we're getting close to touchdown on the first well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I think when I probably spoke about a year ago or 10 months ago, we were anticipating doing wells before the end of the year, but COVID just stopped everything in its place, especially in Indonesia. They put restrictions on going from island to island, and Indonesia is a series of islands, and we're on Sumatra Island, this particular asset, the Kruh asset, 63,000 acres in Sumatra. And we couldn't get the equipment there, and then we were waiting for a forestry permit, all those things happened. But finally, they all came together, and we started to drill about 4 weeks ago. And our goal is 3,300 feet. And right now we're at about 3,000 feet. We're swapping out one piece of equipment, and we should commence drilling by this weekend. And I would think that by 4 or 5 days from now, we'll be at TD, 3,300 feet on the first well. So we're excited about that. I'm optimistic about it. I've always got to be optimistic. And so we're hopeful that that will be a discovery. It's an infill drilling program. And then we're going to step out and then drill the next well and the next well. But what will happen starting on Monday, we'll do some well logging and do some testing of the production and make announcements along the way and telling people what our initial production rate is. And as we've noted, we're hopeful that will be about 170 barrels a day on this well and the other wells. The next 3 wells, that'll be back to back. So you'll hear in 30 to 45 days, another well being completed, drilled, and then 45 days later, another well completed and drilled. So hopefully, when you combine all those wells at 170 barrels a day, we're going to double to triple our current production rate of about 200 barrels a day. So, it's an important time and the milestone, hitting those milestones in our development plan. So we're all excited about that, and hopefully we'll have some good press releases out in the near term.
So you've got this rig and crews locked in for the first 3 wells. You've talked about, 5 for the year though?
Yeah, so we still have a plan to do 5. So what we're gonna do is we're doing a little bit of 2D seismic also, and we want to sort of step back. We'll get a different rig to come in and drill the next 2 wells and decide where those next wells, those well number 4 and 5 will be. We have a plan now, but maybe the results of these wells and some information we find and gather will have us pick a little different location. But the intent is by the end of the year to drill 2 more, have 5 this year, And then I believe next year it'll be another, we have 6 wells and 7 wells, a total of 18 wells over the next 3 years. But now that we're in this shortened year, it'll really be like in 2.5 years, our intent is to drill 18 wells, which should dramatically change the profile and the cash flow picture of the company.
And are there wells after 3 years, or is 18 just, you're only looking out 3 years?
That's the 18, but you know, we are going to drill more in this asset. You know, it's just too rich. We have the ability to drill probably 40 more in addition to that. We just need to see the timing of that and also the timing to get an extension of the contract. So we need to just sort of plan all those plans. Right now, we just are focused on let's get 18 done. And you know, with the last time I spoke, I think I was just listening to it this morning when we did an interview like this, and we were at $43 or $45 a barrel. And right now, Brent is at 68. And as we announced, each of these wells, if we get the 170 barrels a day that we're anticipating, with a price of $63 a barrel of Brent, and we're at 68 right now, we should return about $3.3 million in net revenues. And that well is expected to cost us $1.5 million to drill. So, you know, it's a no-brainer. We want to drill more than those 18 and just keep it going. And it's a cash cow, this asset. The other one is a long-term asset. But, you know, we want to just drill the heck out of this asset and return that cash to the company, especially if we're producing cash twice the amount of net revenues as it costs to drill in 12 months. So a great asset.
Delays certainly haven't hurt you with oil prices higher.
Oh, sure,
I was going to ask you about the cost. You just mentioned the $1.5 million. Anything you're seeing in the drilling of the first well? The timing seems like we're holding to record, but anything that would make us think that maybe 1.5 isn't a good number to use?
No, we anticipate they'll be all at 1.5 million. You know, it could be 1.4, it could be 1.6, but you know, it's in a band like that. So I think, you know, we've got the costs under control. There was nothing unusual except having to swap out a piece of equipment and then also getting some supplies brought in. They locked down for about a week, the country, didn't allow products to move from island to island for about a week. So that slowed us and we had to sort of stop for a second. But that didn't add to the cost. The contractor, you know, it was their responsibility, so the cost didn't change on that. So we're in good shape on cost, so we anticipate that. And you know, I know we talked about it before, but what's our operating costs? And our operating costs here right now are about $21 a barrel, but with these 3 wells, we anticipate to be below $20 a barrel operating costs. So, you know, we've got a lot of margin there for profitability.
Now, so far, we've just been talking about the Kruh field, the oil field. You've got another play, the Citarum, that's more gas. Yes. What's the expectations on when you might be drilling there?
Yeah, so our intent is to be in 2022, we will drill. We will do some seismic work on that Citarum block, probably 4th quarter this year or early 1st quarter of next year of 2022. And with that, coupled with, you know, on that block, which is a, you know, that's just an enormous size elephant opportunity. 1 million acres, 70 times. I'm sitting in Manhattan now, so, you know, 70 times the size of this island, Manhattan, is that block, and only 16 miles from the capital of Jakarta. So the location is great, the size is enormous, and we had a Canadian public company that drilled 4 natural gas discoveries on that well, on that asset. So our intent is to take the seismic we do, focus a little on where they had those discoveries. We think that's the sweet spot, and they're sort of spread out in different locations of this 1 million acres. So our intent is probably to drill 2 wells in 2022. And those will be more expensive, probably $7 million wells. And complete those, put a development plan together, and then go to the government to start to work on a approval for a development plan, while at the same time looking for a partner. We want to partner with somebody because this is going to cost much more capital to develop, but the upside is so huge on that asset, that Citarum asset.
Want to have you kind of address the comments by the auditor in your last financials, the ongoing concern comments.
Yeah, we were very disappointed with that, and in hindsight, we probably shouldn't have used we did an all-in program of drilling all these wells, and not just the 5 in the next 6 or 7 months, but additional wells, and we put that all in. And then they use an assumption of finding no oil. Well, we're not going to be able to drill all those and spend all that capital and have, if we don't have any production, we're not going to do that. So, it was a little late to make a change. We're running up against the deadline, and so we didn't fight it, and we accepted it. But, one well changes the whole picture. If this well is productive, it changes the whole picture. And we're not going to drill 5 dry holes. If we start drilling a dry hole and a dry hole and a dry hole, we're not going to continue to drill and use up all our money and go out of business. That doesn't make sense. So we're going to be we're going to follow what the asset produces and what the results are, and do whatever is economically efficient to grow shareholder return and to return the most to the company. So we anticipate these will be discoveries, and that we'll have production coming in, and we'll learn from our way to handle it next time for the next earnings.
And just for the record, this is in a field where we're doing infill drilling, where there's been successful wells where the probability of success is really pretty high.
Very, very high. Our anticipation is that these 3 wells we're going to drill back to back. And certainly our anticipation is all 3 will be producing wells. But there's always a possibility that something goes wrong, but not that 3 are not going to produce. It's just we know enough, and we've done enough seismic, and we have enough wells, and we've drilled other wells that this should be a 90, well above 90% probability that these wells will be producing commercial wells. So we don't anticipate any issues there. And we got the ability. One other thing is, if for some reason we see a really good production rate, we think we can increase it, we've got the ability to do some stimulation work. So there's a possibility we might even do some additional stimulation work, not just on these wells, if we think we can get even more production right away, and on our existing wells that are producing. So we might increase some of the production there. We've seen that very effective. So, we might use the equipment while it's out there right now to do some stimulation on our existing production. So, we're looking forward to it. So, the next 30, 60 days is really going to, be hopefully hitting our targets and big announcements and returning shareholder value and meeting the expectations of the shareholders.
Let's just play out that worst case scenario though, and look at the finances a little bit. We're $1.5 million each well, 5 wells, assuming we go forward with all 5. You came off the IPO with a very large cash position. Because of the delays, we're starting the cash position getting a little bit lower. What is the chance that you might have to do some financing maybe a little bit earlier than expected?
Any financing is going to be dilutive in a sense. We want to make sure whatever financing, if we do it, will be accretive. And so if we can take money and put it into a well and drill even more wells that produce net cash double of what it costs to drill, that's a very accretive investment. But at the same time, we want to see the stock price higher than where we are right now. We want to see it at your target of 8 and at $10 a share. We're hopeful that with the nice discoveries coming in the next few wells, that we could get to that kind of positioning. But we're very cautious about dilution, and if these wells do very well as expected, we can time that when we have a very strong stock price, a strong market, and bring some more liquidity into the stock.
You mentioned the stock price, and it's proven to be a little volatile. We've had our $8 price objective. We even jumped above that for a while, and we took our buy off for a while, and then went back under. Talk a little bit about the ownership structure, who your shareholders are, what we can do to, does it bother you that the stock price is that volatile?
Yeah, I think it's partly because it doesn't have the, it doesn't have big volume. And so, a smaller trade can move it in one way or the other. So we'd like to get some more liquidity into that. The shareholding right now, we have about 25 to 30% is in the float. The balance of the shares, so it's about, we've got about seven, I'm just using rough numbers, 7.5 million shares, about 2.2 million is in the float. And the balance of that is held by two individuals. One who is the chairman of the company, Dr. Wirwan Yusuf, who put in with the other gentleman who owns 17% of the balance. So it's 87 and 13. 87% for Dr. Wirwan Yusuf and 13% for James Wong. Those are the two individuals that founded the company. They put in over 30 million of their own cash into the company, starting it up and drilling the first wells. And you know, they're long-term holders. They don't want to see their big shareholders being diluted. And you know, we've got the 2.2 million in the float, and hopefully we will get it as, you know, a little larger and a little more share, you know, a little more liquidity and trading in the stock. I think that if you get 5 wells producing 3.3 million in net revenues in you know, the next you know, exiting in 8 months from now, we're at that, let's say, or 7 months, we're at that full production rate. You know, when you start looking at comparables, I think we're very undervalued right now in the stock price. Even at the $8 target, that's a great target, and that's where we want to be. But I think if we prove with these wells what we're saying, I think people will say we're going to over deliver in the future. And the price should be much higher, especially when you're just doing a small multiple of net cash flow. So I think we should be in a much higher, part. But you know, the way we're going to get there is telling the story with you, getting out and the non-deal roadshows, telling the story, hitting our targets and our development plan, you know, doing what we said we're going to do. That's why we're staying focused, very important, and get these wells drilled. And that will hopefully prove itself in the marketplace. It's pretty efficient, and with good oil prices and the economies in the world increasing and improving, and COVID not behind us, but a way to conquer it. And certainly here in this country and elsewhere around the world, I think we're set up in a very good part. You know, the next 12 months, I think, are going to be great months for our company and for oil prices.
Do you have any appetite for picking up new properties, or you feel you got enough to drill out that that's really not on the forefront?
Yeah, it's you know, you never could just close your eyes and just you know, and not look at other opportunities coming in. But you know, at the same time, we want to stay focused on these wells right now and not get too distracted. But that's the benefit of being a public company. If we get our stock, if we prove on these 5 wells and get that stock price up there, well, that's what you can do with a public company and with our shares, is acquire other assets in country. I think we will stay in country in Indonesia, where we know best, probably the island of Sumatra, and looking at similar type of properties that could deliver the same kind of value that our Kruh block is delivering. But you know, right now, all our activity and focus is getting these wells drilled, producing what we said we'll produce, becoming cash flow positive, which this will easily do, and then start to take a look at other acquisitions with a much enhanced stock price.
Do you see Indonesia as a key advantage to your firm?
We are. I mean, part of it is, you know, how we're positioned in Indonesia, and those two gentlemen who started the company, they have very good relationships in country. You know, we had the Secretary General come when we rang the opening bell, and the Minister of Energy came when we rang the opening bell. So our relationship is very strong there. They want to encourage entrepreneurial and in-country companies to develop the resources there, sort of like in the US, smaller independents and entrepreneurial companies did in the shale revolution here. So they're encouraging indigenous companies to acquire properties, and they're very proud of our company. As small of a micro cap we are, we're the only Indonesian company to ever do an IPO on the New York Stock Exchange. So, you know, it gets a lot of attention in the country, as small as we are. But the Minister of Energy, you know, will welcome us and is excited about our 1 million-acre block and what we're going to do with that in the future, and bringing in one of the majors to partner with us on that asset.
Thank you for joining us for this C-Suite interview presentation brought to you by Channelchek. Visit our YouTube channel for more interview content, as well as virtual roadshows and conference presentation replays. New content is added regularly, so subscribe below to stay up to date. Visit channelchek.com or click the link in the description to access equity research, news, and advanced market data on this and the 6,000 other small and micro-cap companies listed.